I guess I should ask before I get my first question. It is Yasha, right?
Yes, Yasha.
Okay. I had the letters backwards. I'm like, ooh, that one threw me off a little bit.
No, no worries.
All
Yes,
right.
Yasha.
All right. So joining us now is the head coach of the Wayne State women's tennis team, Coach Yahsha Moore. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to finally get a chance to talk with you.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So we like I mentioned, this is our first real chance at talking to you in the fall. We were talking before we hit the record button. We actually did talk to two of the tennis players on the Wayne State women's tennis team. So now that we get a chance to talk with you, we get to learn a little bit more about the Wayne State women's tennis team. So I guess kind of starting out, last year you really kind of took over as the head coach of this team, but you've been with the team for a number of quite a while now, over a decade, I think now at this point. We'll get into a little bit more of
Yes.
that later, but looking back on last season, I'm wondering, are there a couple of accomplishments, maybe three of them in particular, that you were really most proud of from the team?
Oh man, like honestly, everything they were able to accomplish, just with the change of coaching and kind of like right before we got in the meat and potatoes of our season, like I'm really proud of the girls for just getting on board and, like really like coming together as one for the rest of the season. You know what I mean? Like it would have been a very easy moment to kind of fall apart as a team, but they really all kind of came together and I was really proud of them for being able to do that. Being able to win the GLIAC, they had a very successful season and it seemed like once kind of things got rolling, they were so determined to get back to where they made it the previous year and kind of just show up like every match. It felt like they were showing up and just trying to prove something. And like I couldn't be more proud of them going into the GLIAC tournament, after having a successful season up until that point and being able to win it and, going to regionals. And then, of course, my third favorite accomplishment for them would be making it to the quarterfinals of the NCAA tournament. They had a really tough match against Nova Southeastern, and the match stopped because of rain delays. And although we lost that match, I really think it kind of showed them they can hang with anybody, they can play with anybody, and they can compete with anybody. So I think it just shows that the sky is the limit for them.
And I will say, I know Sangster's got a question coming up here, but I wanted like one of the things you said in there, I thought really kind of like struck me last season, which was there was no missed beat with this team. Like, regardless of what was going on with, who's kind of leading this team, they showed up and performed, as good as ever. So, I mean, I just wanted to make sure like I highlighted that, like that was noticed for me as well from a couple matches. And also I was streaming a lot of the NCAA matches as well, just trying to keep up on all that. So I wanted to throw that in there before Sangster kind of moved us on to the next question.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like it was just it was really amazing how they were able to come together, honestly. Like just every day in practice they showed up, every match they showed up. So it was really kind of a testament to the season.
Absolutely. And now we've played a few matches over the fall. Uh yeah, looking at it's a couple invitationals. You had the ITA Cup, but now you've kind of gone through the off season, looking down to the start of the indoor season coming up in February. So what are some areas you feel the team has really grown compared to last season?
Honestly, I think I'm working with a team that's mostly upperclassmen. I don't have any freshmen. So I wouldn't I don't know if I necessarily would say they've grown, but I really think they're kind of like, if I had to, they're growing together and they're really kind of settling into their playing. Like they kind of have been there, done that, so they know what the expectations are. They know, what the goals they have set for themselves are. So just kind of like settling in and kind of owning that when they step on the court. I really think that's kind of the biggest thing for them.
Yeah, and that's a theme I remember hearing when we were talking to Martina uh, earlier that just this team really coming together has been a huge part of what this team has done throughout the time that they've been together. Really, that a lot of these players have been here for a few years now.
Yes, and it's just because they're all from all over the place. So just being able to like feel like when we're here in this environment, this is our family. So we're gonna show up for the people that need it the most.
And so we're kind of going back now to, you came to Wayne State in 2011 as a student athlete. Now you're all the way up head coach. What was it that you saw that made it such a great program, and how much of that going back, do you still see today?
Honestly, like I think what makes the difference is the family aspect. That's what drew me to Wayne State initially when I came as a freshman. Like I really wanted an environment that felt like home. And I really think that was created when I came and it just kind of was sustained over the years. And when I came, coach was one of the only female coaches, and I really feel like that kind of made a difference for me. And just kind of being able to maintain that and, give the girls that like kind of like motherly vibe, but sisterly vibe. Like I really think like the girls kind of trust the person that I am. So being able to kind of maintain that family structure and just knowing that, I've got their back and they've got mine, I think that kind of makes a difference for us.
Something that's super interesting about that, really talking about the family atmosphere. I know that was a question that we asked Martina and Malik was, do you feel like the fact that is from, different parts of the world that they come here, like, of course, I didn't expect them to say, no, absolutely not. We think that actually hurts us. But like hearing how much that, like, that it really does mean to them, how, invested they are in each other as a team and everything, that really just struck me as something that like, I can't imagine not every team has that. So the fact that we're able to, have that kind of environment and they all just, banter with each other, have a lot of fun, but go out there, really push each other through training and through a lot of these high end or high level events that they're getting to. I think that's pretty impressive and deserves like, credit to you as well. They're just like, you're leading this and you're obviously doing something right to make them all feel comfortable.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And like it's just like any other family, like I always tell the girls, like you're not gonna like each other every day, but if we can come together when it's important, that's what matters. If we can resolve our issues and stay drama free and just kind of move forward, like at the end of the day, like you might not get along with your brother or your sister every day, but at the end of the day, like you're gonna have their back if anything else comes down to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've already mentioned Malik and Martin, but also Anna is one that we talk about quite a bit on the podcast. I'm curious as we continue on into the winter season here, indoor tennis season. Are there a couple players that you're really starting to see step up that we should be keeping our eye on?
Like honestly, all of them, but I would say like Anais is like our vet. Like she's, seasoned, she knows she's been there, done that. I really think Malik does a good job. Like she's, kind of worked her way up and become a solid part of our lineup. Daya, I think, kind of flies under the radar a little bit, but she's definitely like a solid person in our lineup. She's kind of one of those people that is a chameleon and can play anywhere, you know what I mean, and get the job done. Um, Justine's kind of like our dark horse. So I don't know. I honestly all of them like Shaq, Shanty. Shanty's our new transfer, and she hasn't played like a GLIAC match for us yet, but I'm confident that when she steps in, like she adds such good chemistry to our team, like good energy, and I just really think she kind of fits into us. So I just think like all the girls like bring something. Even Desiree, like she's improved so much since she got here. So I just think all of them bring something different, and like it would be hard for me to pick just one that's kind of up and coming. Like Shanice was dealing with a couple injuries last year and she's kind of recovering from them, so I'm excited to see how she steps back into our lineup.
And so it just really shows, we've had some high performing uh, athletes come through this tennis program through the years. I remember Jeff, I think it was Jeff a while ago, was explaining how you get some of these players that you're able to see their scores and bring them into Wayne State. And is there something that you can spot in a player uh, to show that, hey, maybe they've got something special? And what is it that you look for in a Wayne State tennis player?
Honestly, like I get so many recruiting videos every day, and when I look at them, like you can tell this person has played tennis their whole life and this person hasn't. But like for me, it comes down to talking to the person and just like getting a feel for them. You know what I mean? Like I feel like as long as a person has a good foundation, they can come into our environment and be a better tennis player. But I'm more so looking for the type of person they are on top of their tennis kind of, you know what I mean? Like if they're a good person, if I've got good chemistry, if the conversation flows, like, if I connect them with one of my players, how they get along and just kind of seeing that aspect, and if they can already like if they play tennis and then they have good chemistry, good vibes, and I feel like they'll come in, I know that in this environment they're going to get exponentially better. So it's more so based off of who they are as a person over their tennis ability.
It's really cool. It's so going on to now, looking ahead towards the end of the season. What are some of the big goals that you're looking to have for this team this year?
Um, the girls definitely would like to, win another GLIAC championship. Obviously, you got to take one match at a time, and we're remaining very humble throughout all of this. But, their ultimate goal is to make it back to the NCAA tournament, and they've made it to the quarterfinals twice. So their goal is to make it beyond that. But honestly, like we're just grateful, like with whatever we get blessed with, as long as like the work we're putting in reflects in our play, like they want to take it as far as they can.
Yeah, and I'm already looking ahead at some of the schedule. You're facing some of these teams that you've seen in the nationals. You got Barry coming up. You got Nova Southeastern. Already big opportunities now to see what you can do against these teams.
Yes, we're very excited. Obviously we know going in they're going to be two very tough teams, but I tell the girls all the time, like, you're just as good as anybody else out there. You know what I mean? Like we deserve a spot at the table, and I think as long as they believe in themselves as much as I believe in them, they they'll do just fine. Like, there's going to be nerves obviously, but as long as like they're giving 100% work ethic like they do every day at practice, I don't really think there's anything to worry about either way it goes.
Especially as for as long as, the women's tennis team has had a record of just doing very well. I mean, dating back to as far back as I was going to look, I mean, well over a decade now that this is generally a team that's doing big things in the GLIAC, definitely doing some big things in regional. And you mentioned it, you took one of the lines from my notes the last two seasons, winning that first match in the NCAA Nationals. I mean, there's something to be said about that to where, how much selling do you have to do to the team to make them really believe like, no, you're as good as a lot of these teams, just a couple things here, a couple things there, and we're making it a step farther now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when they step on the court, like I feel like they're confident, and then I just like to reiterate, like you're just as good, like you deserve to be. If you didn't, you wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? So I just think like kind of showing up, like we see each other every day at practice, so it's kind of hard to gauge like how good you're getting or like where you kind of stack up against other people. But just trusting in the training, trusting in yourself, trusting in your ability, and just really believing because I believe at a certain level, like no matter what sport you play, no matter how high level you get, like it boils down to like who wants it more. You know what I mean? Because there's not too much of a difference in ability when you get to a certain point. So it's just like, do you have the desire? Do you have the grit? Like, do you want to do what it takes to, grit it out? So
Makes sense. So I got one last question for you. I'm going to see if Mike has anything, and then Yasha will see if there's anything that we missed. But this is a very interesting question for you because the three of us all got to Wayne State right around the same time. I started in 2012, and then Mike the year after me, and I know you were 2011. So thinking back to, you walk on campus at 2011, in 2011, you start kind of getting into it with, athletics, with academics and all that. Could you have imagined that this is what the campus, especially the athletics campus, would look like back when you started?
oh gosh, no, not at all. Like I tell the girls all the time, like I wish this was the Wayne State that I kind of attended. Like it's just like very cool to see the whole evolution of it all. Like I loved Wayne State back in 2011 when I got here, and now I love it even more. Like just all the resources, all the energy they've put into it, like to show the student athletes that they care and they want them to be successful is just amazing. Like honestly, like if I could go back to then, like I wouldn't even like envision half of the things that are here now. So it's really cool to kind of see and be a part of.
And especially like, of course, football, basketball, big time sports, huge, like, the stadiums there, the field houses there and all that. But like the investment in tennis, the investment in swimming and dive, the investment in fencing and all that. Like I know the outdoor tennis courts, Mike probably knows a whole heck of a lot more about all the happenings there than I do. But like seeing that type of investment in the program, even like that's something that I see right away when I'm walking by. Like this is a lot nicer than just a couple of years ago, definitely back when I first started. So it's cool to see it to even, that level and branch out into all different corners of athletics.
Yeah, it's so cool. And just like even with the new tennis facility and all the facilities, like you see how much that Wayne State Athletics cares about their student athletes. You know what I mean? Like it would be easy for people to be like, oh, like the tennis courts are fine, but they actually invest in us. And it just makes you feel like, okay, like they care about us just as much as football or basketball or baseball or whatever the big sports are. You know what I mean? So it's nice. And I just really think it's a way to pay it forward and pay it back by being successful and giving all that we have. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And coach, that's all the questions that I've got. I'm going to open up the floor to you if there's anything that you want to throw out there that we missed.
I mean, honestly, no. Like, I just, like, I'm super grateful to just be a part of these girls' lives and, be in this position. Like you guys said, I started in 2011. And if I could go back to then, I would never guess that this is where I would be right now. But I'm happy, I'm grateful, and, it's just a part of the journey. So thank you guys for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us, coach. That was Coach Yahsha Moore of the Wayne State women's tennis team on the Warrior House podcast.